Welcome back everyone, and in this series we are going to create our own image converter with Python. So let us get right into it. This is the application we are going to build. You can see it's very simple design. If I click on convert images, it performs a check to check whether there is some images has been loaded or not, and tells us that the image is empty. You cannot convert without images. And so let us add images and see. Now I have a couple of images in there. Let me click on the convert. It also detects that there is no extension selected. But if I go ahead and select an extension, a valid one, and I click on convert images, it asks me for where I want to save it. Inside the same folder, I copy the images from, or I took the images from. Let me create a converted folder. And then I'll give you this converted folder as the place where you're supposed to convert the files to. After the conversion is successful, it asks me whether I want to open that particular output folder. And of course, I want to. So I click on it, and then it takes me there. You can see that if I come back by one, these are the images we gave to the converter, and this is the output that came from it. So that is what you are going to build. If you can also see that this placeholder, this is a placeholder image. When I click on any image, the preview comes here and some details about the image down here too. And I can remove any selected image or remove all, which will come with some question. If I click on no, nothing happens. If I click on yes, everything goes. So this is what we are about to build. If you are excited about it, just as I am, let us jump into the next section where we start building the user interface. So I'm here inside Qt Designer. That is what we are going to use. If you don't have it installed, I recommend that you check my PyQt 5 series. There is a video on how to get it installed and set up properly to work with it. So I'll make sure that it's on main window and I'll click on create. Before we go ahead and start designing, let's first do some other stuff. So I'll create a resource file. That is what we'll be using. I'll create this one, and then I'll call it res.qrc. I'll add a prefix of img, and then that is a short form for image or images, imgs. And then inside the prefix, I forgot to add images. Inside there, I can add images, which will be these images. The link to all these images will be in the description below. You can find the GitHub link, the link to the GitHub source code, where all these things will be put there for free. So you can download them and then follow along. And then after we have our resource file set up, we also want to add some actions, 3 of them. So this first one is add images. The shortcut, which I'll make it Control and O, and then I select the resource to be this icon. I want to do another one, remove selected, which will also have this, and then the shortcut is just the delete key. Then the last action that we'll create will be remove all. Which will be this, and then the shortcut is alternative and then delete. You can make it anything as you want. So we are done with these things. Now we don't need a menu bar, so I can remove the menu bar, but we do need a toolbar. But before we even do that, let me do some other stuff also. The name will be IMACON for image converter. You can find a much better name. And then that will be also the name of the app itself that will show at the title. And then the icon will be this image or this picture. Okay, so all set up now, we can start designing. The first thing is to bring up our toolbar. So we can right click and then add toolbar. And then I want the toolbar to not just have the icon only, but we'll have text and the icon. And once I've done that settings, I also want to check this movable to off. so that the user cannot move the toolbar around. And I can drag and drop my actions, place them on the toolbar. The next one is we need 2 frames, the first one to the left and then the other one to the right. Inside the one at the left, we need a list widget which will contain the images that we load into the application. And then in there, we need another frame that will house the button and the label for the output extension selection, the one that we select. So we just need a label in here, which will be, the text will be output format. And then we need also what we call the combo box. And then the last one we need here is the push button. The text will be convert images, and then the name here, that's the name that we use to access it when we are later writing our code, will be convert underscore btn. And that is all for the left side. For the right side, we need 2 group boxes. The first one, the title should be image, because that will be the preview of our image, so we can just say image. Inside there, we need a label for the image. So the label, bring the label up. There will be no text in the label, but what we will do is give it a name first with thumbnail underscore label. And then we can come down, and then where we see Pixmap, we select a file to be the Pixmap, so to not be text, rather it to be image. And after that, we want to make sure that this scaled content is checked. And then the size also, because it's just a preview, we want to set the maximum size to 300 by 200. You can choose any size you want. It's just not that we don't want to show the whole image. It's just a preview of it, so it shouldn't be that big. And then the next group box that we need in here will be image details, inside of which we just need a text edit. I'll choose the very first one, and the name of this one will be img details, img underscore details text edit. That is all. Let's just try to use the frames to lay out our stuff properly. So the first one I'll come to is where you see the output format. I'll lay it out horizontally like this. Then I select the whole of the left frame and I lay it out vertically like that. And then I select this group box where the image is and I make sure I lay it out. Select the one down where the details are, make sure that I lay it out. Then select the whole right frame and then make sure that I lay it out vertically like this. Now I can select the central widget from the top here, the object inspector itself, and then I lay it out horizontally. But after that, I want to make sure that this output format, the size is not so long like that. I want the Dropbox rather to have a lot of stuff. So here I can put a constraint on the maximum width that it can go. If I try 70, maybe a little breathing space for 90, or even 130 because or 120 because I'm about to change the text size for all of them. For this one, I want to make it 12. This one to 12. In fact, all of them will be 12 so that they will be large enough And then this one too, I want it to be large, a little big, so I'll come to the minimum size, make it 80. That is too much. I think 50 should do, or 60. But as you can see from the finished version, we have to add some style to this one. So right click and then change style sheets. Select a background color of this blue, and then a color which will be the foreground color of this white. Okay, background color of blue, and then we add a color of white. So when we apply it, you see that it actually takes effect, but there's also one, the border radius, which will be 25 pixels. Let me see. Maybe I should make it 35. Okay, maybe the 25 will do. Okay, it looks good to me. So that is all for the user interface. You can go ahead and then save this for now. And so I can go up here, click on save. Takes me to where the stuff is. I'll call this one the main.ui. And did we save our resource file? I'm just hoping that we did, but we can. Let us go back into PyCharm and then do the conversion to the Python code. We are here inside PyCharm. You can see that it's a completely blank project. I don't even have a Python file in there. Save the images. These are the ones that we use for the application, and then the tests, which will be the ones that we use to test the application when we are building it. This converted is the one I just converted. I don't even need it, so I can delete it. But all these resources will be in the description below, link to them in the description below. Let us now convert them into Python files. So the first one will be the main.py, which is pyuic5, and then the file that is coming in is main.ui, and the file that is going out is the main.py. So that will convert it and create this main.py file for us, but we cannot run it because if we do, we will get into an error. Tells us that no module named resrc, that because we use resource files, and then Python is expecting that we convert it into the resource files also to Python before we can use them in application, but it's not finding it. So let us go ahead and then convert that one also. The command is pyrcc5, and then we put in in this case, not like the first one, in this case the Python file that we converted comes first, so -o res.py, and then now the resource file itself to qrc, and then now it is converted successfully, so that it came up here. Now when we run our code, it will not also still come because we didn't name it res_rc, but we named it res. But you know, that's good practice that I bring it up here, and I also want to delete all this stuff. Now when we run our code, everything should come, like we shouldn't run into any error. Okay, so the application has now opened. You see that we are not run into any error, but if you watch my previous tutorials, you know that this is not how I like to run my applications. I don't run it directly from this file. So let's quickly create a new Python file called the main class, main_class. You can name it anything you want, and in here is where we create the class to, and then for this one will be from the main class, or from main. We want to import, we named it Imacon, not Imacon, but UI Imacon. And then in here you call the QMain window and then the UI Imacon itself also. And then here we can give the name of the class. It can be anything. I'll call it image converter. And we can use this to run our file, but you also know that I have to create a new Python file. How I do it, this one we call run.py, and this is what will actually run the application. This one will in turn call the class from the main class, and then to use that one to run the application. So from the main class, we want to import what we call the image converter. Okay, so the window now we go to the image converter, and then this run.py file is what we will run whenever we want to run our application. So you can see that it did run our application for us, and set the style to Fusion and all the other good stuff about the Fusion that I like. I think we did forget one thing. We didn't add the default extensions to the combo box, so let us do that right away. Here the first item will be JPG. In fact, the first item should be empty. The next one should be JPG. These are the ones I will add. You can add your own as you wish. So I have to now save it again and then come back inside Python. Here I have to open my terminal again, and I have to repeat this process that converts it to the UI alone Python file, but I now have to come here and then import res again. You can get rid of all of this and then come down and remove this import from here so that it will not throw an error. So when I run it now for the second time, I should see that all the extensions, they load up correctly also, so that I can select any of them to do the conversion. I also forgot, but this icon, this one should have an icon of pointing hand just to show that it's clickable. I think this one too can have the same. I have to save again and then come and then convert it again. And then here, remove this import, come to the top of the file. Okay, looks good to me. That'll be all for the building of the user interface. As I said, the link to this code and all other resources used here will be in the description below. You can download it and follow along. That'll be all for this video. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you again with another video. Bye for now.